Hello, friends. All of you out there in the chatterverse. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, clap your hands once. Excellent. Well, folks, it is ThursdAGE, and today we're doing something a little different. I wanted to shake it up a little bit. I wanted to just, I feel like it's incumbent upon me to, change things up a bit. And, as noted, we're going to be making a KAIJU battle map. Thank you. All right, good. David Volok's here. DBS is here. I can see you, David. AJ Perez says, hello from Brazil. I am really seriously thinking about taking a trip to Brazil because it's a beautiful place. Paul says, I thought I licked an onion once, but it turned out to be architecture. Just a minute. Hey, I love a good joke. Michael in chat, hello to you. A good ThursdAGE, if you will. A little hot, you said? You're talking about my mic, I'm presuming. Let me turn my mic down just a tiny bit. We're going to just keep this going just for a little bit because I want to talk about something real quick. Hey, don't kill my characters here. Good to see you, friends. Yes, Paul, a KAIJU battle map. You really popped in at just the right program. It will be very interesting, and we're going to be enlisting your assistance with ideas and all kinds of stuff. We've done this before in some capacities, maybe not so much on ThursdAGE, but it'll be fun nonetheless. Speaking of fun, I can't do this stuff alone. I'm a simple sort, easily confused, so I need the help of people like where'd you go? Dookie, where'd you go?
I disappeared.
You did. I think I know why.
I am just as disembodied as you are.
Nice. It's spreading.
Oh no,
yeah, you can hear
my precious
Duke.
body.
You can hear Duke in the sort of in the background, but not really. Duke is going to be, as soon as his face materializes upon the screen, we're going to be talking about a few different things. One of them is, hold on here, let's see. Wonder what happened to your head.
I don't know. What did you do to my head?
I don't know. It's gone. It's missing.
Can't go around dissolving people's heads.
Let's do camera.
Hey, Rain.
Hey, we were gonna get a hold of you. We were thinking, you know what? Maybe we should reach out to our friend Rain and see if they would like to join us. But we will certainly invite you again. Yeah, you vanished, but I know you're here to see you. Oh, here we go.
Ha!
Hi,
there I am.
there you are.
Hey, everyone.
Dude, thank you so much for joining today and for being my pal. But we've got a few, I guess, kind of newsy news bits. You don't mind hanging out with some of this news. It's all new. It's semi-new. It's semi-new news and some big news. I'll let you pick. So do you want the big news first? You want to save that to the last? Or do you, what's your, pick your poison?
Oh, let's start with the little news and then
little news
prop ourselves up.
We say little, but it is quite a big bit of business. I'm talking, of course, about the bundle of holding.
The bundle of holding.
Yeah, that's our Age 2E deal. You get in this collection for $19.95, you get the Fantasy Age 2e core rulebook, you get the you get Techno Fantasy, and you get 3 adventures, and of course, like the quick start and all that good stuff. Here's the thing: I know that folks who are regular ThursdAGE pals, they're going to already have this stuff, but share it with a friend. Let them know. Say, hey, if you want to be real cool, then you're going to want to get over to the bundle of holding like other cool kids before you and pick up
Yes.
these. I think it's a total of, let's see, 1, 2, is it 5 plus the quick start? But the adventures are the Lair of the Horde Giant, Menace of the Grave Warrens, or the Gravy Warrens, as I like to say, and
Gravy Warrens.
the Gravy Warrens, and Return to the Valley of the Whispering Titans. Now, that particular menace to titling, I've taken it up with the powers that be. They, of course, said, we'll take this under advisement and will promptly ignore me. That is a very long title to try to push into social media.
I mean, depends on what kind of social media you're using. If you're using one of those that are character limited somehow, then
like Blue Sky and the other, the one that shall not be named.
the one that we don't talk about anymore.
Yes, yeah, the ick. But yeah, anyway, so it just cracks me up because I'm just wondering how much longer could we make a title, because it's like,
oh, are you challenging us?
Publishing's Return to the Valley of the Whispering Titans Fantasy Age Adventure for like that's a lot.
It's a mouthful.
It's not a lot though. The whole bundle price here. So you're getting the core rulebook is $55. Fantasy Age Technical Fantasy is $15. Then the retail price for the 3 Fantasy Age 2e adventures, $18. That's a lot of money you're saving when you can pick it up for just $19.95. So that's like, yeah.
But particularly having Techno Fantasy already in there is chef's kiss. So
yes,
please
absolutely.
grab that.
Yeah, you want to grab it too. If you are, let's say you don't have this in your collection and you want to. So here's the deal. This is a great sort of segue, if you will, into the bigger news. And the bigger news is that, we've been doing ThursdAGE for a long time, and I love it. It's been a blast. And we've had all the way, I think, all the way back to when Owen, who coined the name ThursdAGE, and I think of all the good times that we had, and it is one of those moments where you got to kind of look at what you're doing, and you got to ask yourself, is this something that you want to? Is this bringing a value to the world at large? And so I thought a lot about it, and damn straight it does. I think it brings all kinds of damn value, and so much so that I am inviting Duke to come join me when he can, as he can, here on ThursdAGE, to be sort of my co-pilot.
Yeah,
my co-conspirator. Yeah.
Yeah, we will kind of banter and throw things back and forth and be silly together now.
Absolutely, yeah, and I really appreciate it. It is, I will say, I'm not one of those. I don't relish the solo chat where I'm just kind of like, hey, everybody, listen to me breathe and click. Like, it's just so weird. And as much as I do entertain myself, it gets a little weird if I'm laughing at my own jokes, and it's just all kinds of. But you will join us as you can when you can. But
yes.
I think officially we can say, welcome to co-hosting ThursdAGE with me, and I appreciate it. We'll be doing some stuff like what's in the grad, and talking about stuff going on there. We got big plans. You and Devious and I are going to be meeting here soon to talk a bit about some of the structure and stuff, and we're going to be working with the community as well. But excellent plans to sort of unite all of the different places where in community cavorts, and really work to make it an ecosystem that that really serves all of the folks who are fans of our work, and if you are just a fan of people, the Green Ronin community is, we've got some of the finest people. The best.
It's pretty rad.
It's
great.
pretty rad. But yeah, so stay tuned for all that kind of stuff, and we'll update on. But I thought what would be great for Duke's sort of maiden voyage as an official co-host is for he and I to embark on a big collaborative project of creating a dungeon, like a kind of a battle map, and why not make it super weird? We'll be doing it in Fantasy Age, and we're going to create a kaiju battle map. Now, let's talk about the idea a bit as it sort of exists. We'll vet it by our friends here in the chat and
Yeah.
see what they think. And then, but yeah, so when I came to you with this idea, you're like, "Well, yeah, that sounds great," and you're kind of like, "This is fun." And as sort of the tension mounts, you were like, "This is going to be kind of weird, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course, it is going to be weird. Otherwise, why do it, right?" But explain from your perspective what the idea is.
The idea was when you came to me, hey, let's do something, and you threw a kaiju as an interesting encounter. Maybe I kind of had the idea. You know what? A kaiju usually is big, like super 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 big.
Right.
Not a thing that you hit with your sword as an entity, so to say.
Yeah.
What if kaiju, but as a location?
Mhm.
So the idea is basically you're not standing in front of the big monster and fighting it one-on-one. You're on that monster, like
Yeah.
Shadow of the Colossus style. It's gigantic. It's as big as a city block, and you will climb that thing, and you will find weak spots and weaken the monster until you can eventually plunge your sword into its brain and kill it or something. But so you will have to.
Yeah, Nate mentions that this could be used for Cthulhu Awakens, and I thought
Yes.
about it. But so we're going to use Fantasy Age, but we will, as we're putting the pieces together and learning about all the sort of new stuff that we need to consider as we do this. We will make sure that we make decisions that make it easy to port over, and that of course be something that everyone will be able to partake in.
It works on every age, I guess. So
yeah, and we'll make sure to kind of think about that and as we design stuff. Now I'm looking at chat. By the way, Michael in chat, I was typing it a response to your. I'm almost over that cold. You might hear me be a little gravelly, and but I am feeling better. I still cough a bit when I'm laughing, which is hard because I'm always laughing. So yeah. So if you hear me go silent all of a sudden, Duke will have to vamp for me.
Sure.
See. Rain, we should talk. I think with this project, there's some fun stuff that we could, put together. And I know that you've got a lot of things cooking. And but if you had a Thursday in your pocket that you wanted to hang out with us, boy, you would sure be welcome. Absolutely, at 100%.
We would definitely love to have you around. So
yeah, we really, really would.
That's always great, particularly because you have your podcast chops that
right.
I only have occasionally.
But you're a ThursdAGE regular by this point. So yeah. Anyway, so David asks, why doesn't anyone just give Kaiju a cheesecake? Solves so many problems. Now, I happen to be I love cheesecake. As a matter of fact, I don't like cake, but I like cheesecake.
How
so I get cheesecake for my birthday, which is lovely. My mom mails me like the cheesecake of the month club or the 30 slices of different cheesecakes that make a whole cheesecake. It's really nice. So
you do like cheesecake?
I do. I really do.
Okay, so you don't like cake, but you like cheesecake.
I like cheesecake. It's not, and it's not really a cake. It's more like it's just delicious. But that being said, I don't know. Maybe we'll incorporate that into our plans somehow. You got to deliver the cheesecake to the cheesecake hole.
The idea could be that you're not, that you don't want to destroy the kaiju, but that you maybe want to distract it to walk out of the city it is currently turning into rubble. So
I love that. Maybe there's an element of that's an option. Like if there is, if there's a desire to kind of, or they learn something as a matter of, sort of exploration, and they go, wait a minute, this isn't what it seems. But let's before
Oh,
we
I
get
already have an idea.
awesome, a peach pie, a
Peach pie.
peach pie. I don't think
Yeah,
I've
it's
ever
a
had a peach pie. Dude, you can't just tell a German you don't like cake like that. It's a pastry-based society.
It's
That's
true. I
very
am deeply
true.
offended, and I will now hold you
You
accountable.
write me a citation, a dessert citation. Uh, let's see. Yeah, you
Don't
bet.
worry. I,
Right,
I
what's
I hate so many German things, so it's fine.
I love so I've spent a lot of time in Germany and one of the in uh, Cologne, and being there and just sort of is seeing how some German folks are very, is the word rigid? Is it's litigious, it's like it.
Set in their ways.
Yes, and very much like, I'm going to report you for this that you have done, which is your, like, your vehicle that you're loading up, sort of a trade show stuff, and they're just like, you cannot park in this space. You must move 1 inch forward, or you will be
Yes.
reported. And good luck trying to find some ice in Germany, because it's not easy to find,
Ice
or
or
ice or AC, both.
oh yeah, that is true. Yeah, ACs you probably will find in hotels, but
Yeah, definitely in the
in
hotels, but
private
mhm,
areas, forget it. It's
yeah,
just not a thing yet.
being
I
there,
mean,
yeah.
climate change will probably guide us towards the blessings of AC units.
When
But
when I think creative collaboration, I like to start out with climate change. I think it really brings the mood up. But yeah, here's a question for friends in chat now, and also I don't want to step on your idea, Duke. When we think about this, like, what are you envisioning? Because at first, when you first mentioned it, or did I? I mentioned kaiju. You mentioned a map. We put our ideas together, and
yeah.
how now we have this kaiju battle map. But I for some reason I was thinking of something that was in the air, strangely.
Ooh.
And
So
I
so like like we are on Mothra.
yeah, like some kind of floating, hovering thing. That's one idea. And then I also can't shake a kind of a jungle, you know, sort of thing, like uh, or even a multi-biome kind of entity or something.
I mean, yeah, I mean, a kaiju is quite a large creature.
Right,
So
right.
a default-sized character like a human or an orc or whatever you have
Yeah,
will probably be so small to compared to it
yeah,
that the like if you think about Godzilla for instance, you have like it's a very scaly creature, so you have all of these little scales on its body that will probably like have ravines where you can fall into or you can get stuck in, and it
right,
has
right.
like these back ridges that light up before Godzilla shoots its radioactive
Great, yeah,
blast
exactly.
thingy, and those would be like house sized, obviously. So you have a lot of structure you can use while you're on this thing that you could use like a jungle. Like there could be like hair follicles that are like tentacles or like tendrils that grab you, or there could be like the scales that are sharp and therefore provide a hazard where you could cut yourself,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
if you get too close to the back ridges that are loading up, then it might irradiate you or whatever. It's like there's
Right,
so
right.
many things that you could
So I'm
use
looking up some
to.
information on just the general sort of what is i- in kaiju land, when I'm certain there's a pocket of people on the internet debating this as it relates to Godzilla and all the other kaiju out there, but um, it is looks like we're talking kaiju sizes vary greatly, ranging from a minimum of 10 to 20 meters to 300 meters or more. So we're kind of in that 300 meters or more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so here's a question. Is the experience where, like, will the players know, or could it be a scenario where they don't realize what they're on or what they're engaging with is a kaiju? Like maybe they think they're in a space, but it's actually
if
all
you
kaiju.
if you go for that is already a trope where people
Yeah.
are on an island and they
Mhm.
think they're on an island and there's trees and there's weird plants and suddenly they realize it's a giant turtle. You know,
Yes.
so you could port that onto any kaiju who is just resting somewhere, and they go there for whatever reason and don't realize that it's a creature because it's been there for so long that
Yeah.
there's all kinds of stuff around it, and then they climb it because they're looking for this big glowy thing in the middle, and only when they touch it realize, oh, like that's his nose or that's his whatever glowy body part you want to
Sure. Yeah.
incorporate.
You're my
and
library
and the
friends.
creature is not very happy that you're touching it, and then
Right.
suddenly it's going like "Rawr," and now
So
it's on the move, and now you have to figure something out.
I tend to, in this instance, I'm really trying to imagine the story as it informs what the shape of this thing might be. And I've got a couple scenarios that I want to run by you, but we
Mhm.
can also just go freeform and just focus on the map. But we'll, and chat's got some great conversations going on here about
I
sort
see,
of
I see, I
mechanisms and
see.
things. Yeah. So
Turtles and snails
right,
and
yeah, turtle is a kind of a classic, isn't that? Who's the is it a giant turtle on an elephant or something, or an elephant on a
that's Discworld. Like you have
squirrel? Yeah,
you have like a giant turtle on which 4 elephants reside,
that's
on
right.
which the
Yeah.
Discworld resides. Yeah.
Exactly. So, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. It could be a situation wherein the adventuring party was hired to investigate anomalies, or to perhaps they were hired to go investigate a thing, but there's some subterfuge, and really whoever hired them wants them to, activate the kaiju. So, and they don't want to risk their themselves, and so they're sending the, hapless sort of crew to find out that this big glowy thing is actually, you know, the flight to, knob, whatever.
Mhm.
And that they hey, Shadowcat, good to see you. Um
Hey there.
was recording an unboxing. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You'll have to drop us a
Ooh.
link or share so we can do that. Let's see. How about fighting on the back of the Crimson Bat in RuneQuest? I think that's a great idea, and I like the notion of it, but we'll probably keep it in the fantasy age, sort of space, primarily just because I don't, I've got too much going on to have to deal with any sort of litigious,
Mhm.
cranky IP holders. But
One thing.
yeah, please.
Yeah. No.
No, I was going to
Okay.
say, but what do you think? Is what do
Okay,
you think?
another idea I had, because you could technically, if you're already in fantasy age, if you want to be very classical, you
Mhm.
could always go for a big ass dragon, because those are basically kaiju
Yeah.
if they're big enough. And if you want to have it not already be active, what could be a thing, actually a thing that I used in one of my campaigns, would be, it is a sleeping dragon that has been asleep for centuries. And it's just lying there. Stuff has grown over it. And because it's so big, its metabolism is so slow that
Ah.
even though it's lying there with its mouth open or
Oh,
something.
yeah, tempo for sure, for sure. I like the idea. Yeah, please continue.
Oh yeah, yeah. It has its mouth open, and it's such a big, giant creature that people have started living in its mouth
Oh,
and
right.
build their city in the mouth of that dragon, because it's never really moving, like it's breathing but very slowly. So
And maybe they can confuse it as sort of a volcanic kind of warmth coming from the depth of a thing because of the size of it.
exactly. And
I
because
like
it's so
this.
big, its skin is so rigid that you could mistake it for stone or for some other material, or you're not sure what it is because it's already buried under whatever. So only its head is sticking out.
Yeah,
And
I
then you
love
could
that.
wander inside the dragon into the
Yeah,
dungeon, basically, and then
maybe there's
encounter
some
dragonfire or something.
like tectonic instability or something that that calls people to go explore. Now, Shadowcat asks a great question, and I want to dive into this. What's a kaiju? And a kaiju is basically, the term kaiju means giant beast or strange beast, and it's Godzilla, Pacific Rim, your giant. beast that roam the earth and that we must contend with in some giant fashion. And as we said earlier in the program, so a human is about, let's say the typical human is what, 5 feet tall. I'm 6'5", but,
Ish.
I'm
Yeah.
the next evolution man. So and then a kaiju can be anywhere from 10 to 20 meters or 300 or more. So giant beast, and in this case, we're creating a giant beast that is also sort of a dungeon. It's a map, and I love the sound of this. I love the idea that this giant dragon has been here for so long, and that it's just covered in moss and vines or whatever it is, whatever the biome is, and then and so how do you? I'm trying to think about this. Is this an interscape kind of like inside? Is it inside and outside? Is it, like, how do we
Could be
want to
both.
design this? Yeah. And so,
I mean, I think if you were like maybe the idea was you were sent to this strange village that lives in like an overhang cavey kind of area that looks like a dragon's head, and everybody's like, oh, that's kind of strange, and you're supposed to get like an artifact from the depth of the dungeon beneath that village, and while you're there, you're slowly realizing this isn't just like architecture
oh,
or
yeah.
just a weird rock formation. This is an actual living being they're living in,
So
and then yeah,
a couple of folks have
yeah.
mentioned the Wandering Village. That is it's a survival game that
Mhm.
it's very reminiscent of what we're talking about. Let me, basically, it's kind of this is like a four-legged unicorn sort of thing, or horned thing, and on its back it has sort of what looks sort of like a mesa, or like, uh, rock formations, and that's where people live. But I think this thing knows that this is like a symbiotic relationship, I think.
Yeah,
um cool. Okay, well, so I still want to roll with the idea. There are so many great ideas out there to steal and borrow and be inspired by.
definitely.
But so very interesting. So I'm trying to think of this as it may look as a map. Like, how do you? The challenge here is to map it out, but not be like, okay, here's the wing map and here's the belly map. Because you kind of want people to sort of discover it. I mean, you spoiler alert, everybody. You're kind of, you'll know about it before anyone. But um, how would you present that in a map form?
um I guess staged, like if it's
Mm,
not just one battle map, like because you're probably encountering different areas of that creature,
right.
and it might start like with one map of, if we go for the dragon thing, like the open mouth, that is basically just the core map of a village, but
Yeah.
inside of the lower jaw of
And then maybe
this
so
creature.
for the internal bit, it's kind of a cavernous map of a tunnel, and
Yeah,
with varying, sort of orify, which is multiple
yeah.
orifices, and sphincter and things that you must contend with.
Exactly.
But okay, I
They're
like that.
so big and stony you wouldn't
Oh,
recognize them
yeah.
as
I
such.
mean, who really knows
but
what a
but there
dragon
was
species is?
someone said, I think it was Nate, like the lake of acid would probably be something that makes total sense once you reach
Yeah.
the stomach of that thing.
Oh, I love
Uh,
the notion that inside, or there's a lore that is a little different for each of these areas, that talks about this, that's a clue or a hint as to, like, this lake of acid. And like, maybe there's something about the wings that kind of, when you're digging down, or if there's farming going on, or some other kind of, village or something, that there's a leathery kind of weird, sort of under the soil or something, weird. Beauty is in the eye of the dragon, and the party is in its stomach, indeed. I do like
yeah.
the layers idea Nate brings up. And, for some reason, I like a good cult. I like a good sort of troublemaking cult. What do you think about that?
Yes, I
Yeah.
was. Oh, you read my mind, because
Yeah.
in that thing that I ran once, that city had, like, obviously, like religion stuff, and they had a little church, but they had also like subcults that were living there, and one of them was very apt to keep the dragon sleeping, while the other wanted to wake it up because that would bring forth like a new age of fruition. And everybody else was like, but yes, that also destroys our city, maybe don't. And obviously conflict there, and so you have to contend if you want to wake the thing or keep it asleep.
You know, I also like the idea of there being sort of, so when we think about the layers, let's say that the dragon is semi in, you know, clearly the mouth is open and it's huge and, you know, larger than maybe we can really sort of wrap our mind around. And then the body kind of goes down as, you know, into the, yeah, but then the wings are, you know, like the wingspan. That's a very interesting question as far as like what's going on in the other places on the back and the wings and the.
I think if it's just asleep, it will probably have its wings like cropped to its back before it went to sleep, because it wouldn't really like sleep with its wings spread. That doesn't really make sense, I think.
It's just sort of like a little glided down and just sort of stretched out. But I'm thinking now that you mentioned that, like a mountain range.
Yeah. That it would be like basically a mountain range that it's just covered in rock and moss and stuff, but underneath, but it is the like shaved off form still of the body of that dragon, but because it's been there for so long and erosion happened, it's like smoothed down that it's just vaguely recognizable as this kind of lizardy big body shape.
They might even call it, you know, Dragonspire or like, you know, some kind of, you know, just as a way of recognizing the shape of it. I do like this, providing clues and elements that the sort of whatever minor biome that they're walking through, you know, like the throat and then into all the different weird places, that there be some hints, like we talked about the, you know, the lake of acid, and, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of fun to be had in these other
definitely
spaces. Yeah.
I think if you want to go a little bit crazier and not just go for like the default of what a dragon looks like, you could back to the kaiju, basically, where you can go nuts. Like you would have maybe similar to a whale, you would have like next to its head, somewhere on the back, like some sort of breathing hole or something that not only like breathes and there's hot air coming in and out, but occasionally it's spouting lava, which is basically like liquid dragon fire or something, and that could be a clue. And people have figured out that there's some sort of rhythm behind it, but it's slow.
For it to happen, and maybe they want that sort of when it comes out, you know, that they collect it, or they, you know, maybe even could be some sort of ritualized sort of thing that everybody gets excited about. This, whenever however long it takes for this breath to go in and breath to go out, I'm imagining that it's pretty imperceptible. And then every once in a while, there's a, you know, like he needs a snore pap, or it needs a snore pap, some kind of a mechanism to keep him from, you know, spewing hot dragon lava. But I do like the idea that we're taking this dragon and turning it into, maybe making it a little different, so that, you know, there's a couple questions here. And these are good questions.
Oh, like, Rain has it. Rain has a perfect analogy for that. Regurgitate hazard.
This is good. Yeah, this is really, really good. Yeah, exactly. Regurgitating hazard.
It's like,
I love that.
Or acid reflux or something.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Now, here's a good question. Why wouldn't this dragon, why is this dragon or this, you know, kaiju waking up, and why didn't it wake up when everyone decided to build a big city in its mouth?
Okay, could be different things. I think it could be a natural life cycle thing that these things live for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
And it's like
And
a
every now and
hibernation
then they need to hibernate for like an age or something. And
Yeah.
usually then it's very hard to wake them up because like a hibernating bear, you have to really poke the bear to get it to do things again, but then probably run away. And other thing could be it might be a cursed creature. It might be it might be ill.
Subdued it in some way, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly, but it might be ill. It might have like it might be old, so that it just sleeps longer, or something.
Yeah.
Exactly, Nate. Yeah, cursed.
Yeah, I like this idea. One of the, what we could also do is leave it a little open-ended so that there be the opportunity for, like however we end up, creating this, but that the GM can kind of say, oh yeah, I'm going to go with that. Like it's going to be the hibernating option, or it's going to be the cult has cast a curse on it and it's been sleeping forever so they could harvest its, dragon whatever's
saliva. Dragon saliva is for some reason used for insert magical artifact creation of your choice.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Well, so I like this, and I think too that we should probably just generally be open to morphing and changing what this thing is. But generally speaking, it is a dragon-like thing with a giant mouth that people have started to like, build a city in and living in sort of the teeth, and that like we can have some fun with that. And it's hibernating, or it's not entirely dead, but almost nearly imperceptibly incapacitated, and it has a blowhole.
And it has a blowhole. Nate had a good idea. The lack of magical energy to keep it animated, so that maybe exactly because it's a magical creature, and over the ages, as they age, they lose some of their magical allure, which keeps them basically alive, and so they have to have long phases of basically being maybe not really alive to recuperate or something.
Oh, I love this too. Stan mentions that that we kind of we're getting there with the wing stuff, but the idea that when there could be some lore that talks about lakes of red, or something like that, where people have done some excavating or something, and they end up hitting a vital organ or a vein or something, and then it bleeds, and
that is great. And dragon blood is probably not only red, it's probably hot. It probably has some super weird things. It's not just like blood. It's probably like super poisonous or does super weird things to its surroundings.
Smell, and maybe I can also see it. If a dragon was sort of just a giant beast, that dragon-like head is, and the mouth is open, I could see that there could be natural lakes that kind of fill in where where the rain kind of catches, and then when it turns red, it's sort of something bad happens, like it's poisons the water, or people turn into dragons or whatever. No, I think Nate, I think you are talking about torpor. Torpor, isn't that like a deep sleep?
Yeah, torpor. Yeah, that's what some species basically have to. That is hibernation adjacent, but a little different. It's also in the Vampire, the Masquerade RPG. That's something that you as a vampire can go into if you don't have enough blood to sustain you. And you go into torpor. It's like where you lie there and all wrinkled up and like.
That's right. You're just kind of a dried husk of a vampire, kind of chilling out, waiting until you can then wake up and then, rule the planet or do whatever you do. Let's see now. Hey, this word. Do you say ichor or ichor?
I say ichor, but it could very well be ichor. I'm not sure, actually.
I'm not sure either. I'm torn on that. So let us know, chat, where you're landing. Living in the teeth, dentist enter here. Yeah, exactly. There should be a village growing in another
we
part
had
of the
that. We had that. There was a hotel that was in one of the bigger like teeth. Uh, and people were only the early settlers were allowed to live in the teeth, and the rest would have to live on the tongue.
I'm thinking too. There could be a village growing in another part of the beast, and maybe there is sort of a village that is famous for its, um, giant heat vent caves that and they could be living in its butthole.
It's smelling like Grotnex here. I have no idea why.
But the scenery is so
strange.
beautiful.
That poor little dragon.
That is true. Michael, that's exactly the problem. It is one of those words that you only ever read and you never hear pronounced. And yeah, so it's just it's just where do you go where someone's using that word? I guess to a TTRPG table or something, but we'll figure it out. Let me see. Igor, there should be a village. Yeah, we talked about that. And Stan, let's see. Yeah. Some areas
But
where
yeah,
we talked about the blood, so I love that.
yeah. I mean, with the size of the thing, it would probably not be too far off that there are not only people living in the mouth, but also somewhere on the rest of its body.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
on the ridge Dragon Ridge mountains, and have like special things going on there depending on the magical capabilities of that thing. Like there might be a glow coming off from between its scales that is magic, and only where like the geological crust has worn off, sometimes this glow comes through, similar to the blood thing. That could be something that pops up every now and then.
Yeah. And I love this. Rain brings up the 4 dragon humors, which we all know as stand-up, prop comedy. What else is there? Satire and
Improv.
Yeah, improv comedy. I like this. We kind of
Yes, and
yeah, right. I dig it. But I do like that there's clearly there's so many different ways to play this, and if we designed this in a way that you could engage with parts of it in this land, and then discover later that you've been to all parts of this dragon being or beast. How many different sort of settlements or body part related townships are there?
I guess, I mean, but probably not too many. Maybe it's just like little settlements of
Like
a couple
3,
huts,
maybe.
or like a farm or something that's living somewhere, like a couple families throughout the body. Unless it's like absolutely gigantic, where like if you already think of the head as big enough to contain a real city, then that dragon probably is miles long and big underneath.
Here's a thought. What if so I'm thinking, so you have when you think of a city, the mouth city, do you see it as being like a capital city style? Like, is it big like that? Is it that kind of a, is it more like a,
like a town,
like a little village?
Like a little village or a town. It depends how big you want to go. I mean, if and also that kind of defines the size of the dragon.
That's right.
In the
exactly
end.
Right. That's kind of where
if you go for a capital city, that dragon is planet wide. Like then the planet is a dragon egg, basically, or something.
Yeah.
I would probably not go that big, because that's
well. Here's what I was
creepy.
Thinking. Yeah, I was thinking this: that there be a reason to travel through, topographically over the lumps and bumps and horns and things that you don't know are horns and things, and that there be 2 cities, and they're at war, or there's an uneasy peace, and they're located at the different parts. So like, it doesn't have to be like the mouth versus the the bunghole, but it could be like somewhere up in the mountains and then somewhere down at the mouth, and that could be a very interesting cause for you to have to go between, or to make you travel through. There's also the the mystery of what's going on. Why is there so much tectonic weirdness? And it's because it's it's got an upset stomach or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the area probably is known for having like tremors and stuff, like because obviously the thing is still in flux and breathing and somehow, even though it is super slow. So it probably is an area where the people know there are earthquakes, they know there are kind of rhythmic tremors that are not just not unpredictable like real earthquakes, but they are actually coming in rhythms where people know when they happen. So they have like these rituals where they prepare for them. They know, oh, this is the month where like
Shadowcat had the same
that part of the city starts to tremble or something,
right? Or that there be like lore history that says there was a catastrophic sort of thing that happened, and that was just the dragon turning in its sleep or shaking, or maybe there is some kind of cyclical thing that people are trying to figure out, and they got to do that quick before et cetera, et cetera. Interesting. Okay, so now let's talk about this, because we are running out of time.
Oh God, no!
I know, right? I know. So thinking about our next steps. Now, we talked about 2 different books. One of them is the core rule book, of course, for Fantasy Age, and Fantasy Age Lairs. Now, how do we want to approach this next sort of piece? Because one of the things I definitely want to do is have a map. I want to play around with some cartography, or just something in that regard, because I love it. But do we want to map out the elements and the areas and kind of do a sort of, because I think it would also help folks in chat visualize what it is that we've got cooking, and then we can kind of fill in based on, like, I'm kind of envisioning sort of this giant, the city is sort of in like one of those sort of cave cities, like you see in history. Like it's sort of, it's not the sort of the capital city, but it's big enough, and there's trade, there's commerce, there's areas. We've got to kind of figure out what the position of the head is, so what that might look like if you're looking down on it, and then how the rest of the body is sort of displayed in this way. And I kind of see I love the idea of the wings forming a mountain range, and that there being sort of this mountain city, because we'll say city instead of village, but yeah, it'll be big enough that there'll be 2 warring groups, more than 5.
Yes,
right? More than 5
definitely.
people.
Not just a family squabble.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I think
how should we approach this, you think?
I think we should start with the main city that is inside the mouth.
Okay, great.
Because that is a map that can go for anything, because it's it would be a cool town map, basically, because it has this unique shape, and it would have like a two-pronged approach, basically. You have the ground map, which is the lower jaw, where you have basically the large part of the city on the tongue, and the higher ups, or whatever you want to call it, living inside the teeth. They like where the teeth are houses, and the rest has had to build their huts on the tongue. And because the tongue is so
bacteria that are creating cavities in this poor thing's mouth.
Yeah, basically, we're a dentist's nightmare. And the people who are living on the tongue, the tongue itself, because it's like so big and rigid, it would probably be like cobblestone in terms of what you walk on, because little tongue pebbles, like that would be like cobble. Yeah. And then you would have like a medieval city in there that and the farther back to the throat you get, the
taller and
the less.
I'm just thinking like more cavernous, more a little more perilous,
Exactly. It gets darker because there's more overhang there and all this stuff. And then there will probably like a city gate or something that leads into the dragon. And then there's like obviously two paths, one into the tummy and one into the lungs. And
Yeah,
one gets to the acid lake, the other gets to where the dragon fire is. So
sure. I like this. Yeah.
and yeah, also a mission, get Dragonfire, because that's so rare. Maybe that's the last living dragon that exists or something, and
I'm gonna
therefore.
throw something out here for you just as a thought. And
Mhm.
what if we present if we do this, we focus solely just for this, adventure that we're, kind of embarking on together. What
Yeah.
if it is a no it was known as a living dragon and people know that it's because to me, I'm trying to find a way to sort of say, oh, look at this weird cobblestone road that somebody built, and yeah, these kind of look like teeth, but we're just gonna live in them, and it feels to me like some folks would figure some stuff out. But what if there is they've humanity has moved into these places, and the dragon is understood to be long since dead, and there's almost some skeletal elements to what people see in sort of and you could still resemble a sandstone or like some kind of something, but that it's really not dead and it really
It's an
is.
undead dragon.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It's just like in its pupating phase, where it turns slowly into this undead dragon lich,
Oh,
and
yeah,
that needs.
exactly. Yeah, and that is part of its transformation, but the size of it is just so massive that, um, very interesting. So Tempo brings up this, and I saw this. I'm gonna look for it. I almost grabbed the bestiary just to kind of be able to flip through it and sort of see.
Oh right, let me check. Do you know the page, Tempo?
Yeah.
Because I got the best bestiary open here. I could look for that. What was it called? Mausoleum?
I
What
do
was the
like this
name of
idea,
that?
Nate. I really, really do. The people maybe the people don't know it's a planet killer, but the cult does, and maybe they're a little angry that they're maybe they summoned it and something happened way in the past. But I love that. We'll kind of put that in the
If
hopper.
it could be that this indeed is a world destroying event if that dragon would wake up, because it's so big that it would
Yeah,
just wreak havoc on society in unknown proportions. That would be kind of cool.
I could think too that there could be a lot of fun of sort of playing around with what kind of a civilization says, here's that dragon. We're going to move into its mouth and set up, maybe there is some kind of pride, that, like for instance, you go to some regional areas and people are just real weird about their big ball of yarn or their, cheese hats or whatever. We can kind of have a cultural sort of dragon mouth
I think,
vibe.
yeah, I think if you are a people
Yeah.
who are looking for a place to live, and there is this thing that looks like a dragon head, but hasn't moved in years.
In a millennia or
Like,
whatever. Yeah. For as long as
at
humanity
least
knows.
as long as you're alive.
Yeah.
I think at some point you deem it safe enough to be there, because I mean it's shelter. I mean it has like the upper jaw and head stuff, so it's shelter from the elements. It looks pretty cool. It probably has good fortifications because it has this row of teeth.
It's got
So
minerals and things that people want in abundance.
exactly.
Yeah.
You have no idea. You have access to a mine basically that is behind that thing. I'm pretty sure greed and the opportunity to have like a special place would override the idea of, oh, maybe this is not a good idea. I mean, look at reality. People are living on volcanoes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Active volcanoes.
Absolutely. I mean, in the
So
context of like the humans on Earth, we are a macabre bunch and have been very creepy over the course of our history in many untold and unspeakable ways. But I like
exactly.
this idea too. The competing cults idea is interesting. I like that. One needs it awake and one needs it asleep. That's great. And Stan would like you to know, Duke, that cheese hats are cool.
Well, yes, cheese hats are cool indeed. I mean,
They're not made out
I
of
would
real
wear
cheese.
them.
You would wear a cheese hat? Not
Out
on
of
this.
real cheese?
Next, you'll be telling me you'll put pineapple on pizza. I mean, come on. Let's not get.
I wouldn't. No. I'm not a pineapple on pizza boy.
Neither am I.
But I'm not one of those who goes into a deep rage when I hear about this.
I don't either. But it is one of the more fun things to sort of faux rage about, because really, who gets hurt? The pineapple, really,
Yeah.
honestly, at the end of the day. And they have their feelings are, whatever. But
It
I
is
do like
just
this note that Nate mentions as far as there needs to be a lot of lake. That the jaw is filled with water, that there can be sort of this, and that maybe some of the teeth are like these interesting merchant huts, or I don't know, more luxury homes or something, like, I mean, maybe even some to the degree that they could be high rise or something, like some kind of.
So you think like the like if you have like the mouth area, so the front part basically is full of drool, and that's the lake,
Right, or it could
and
be over
the back
time,
part where the tongue rises there, like the tongue rises out, and that's where the actual city part is on, and also the special people who live in the teeth, who are like those are the novelty and royalty places where people are in. Also, I think the high society will live in the upper jaw teeth.
Yes, yeah. Oh, with
Because those are like hanging above.
Yes. Oh, agreed. Yeah. Very stylized with, sort of looking down upon the whole thing. Yeah, that's great. And the idea too would be very interesting to figure out how the mechanisms of getting up and down, because they're not going to climb, clearly. So they'll have some sort of elevator of some kind, which can be, pulleys or whatever. Yeah, this is fun. Very fun. Okay. So given that we have 0 time left, let's make a plan. We'll do a little homework. We'll do something between now and next week. Maybe what we'll do is play around with what the head might look like visually, as far as when you look at it, the entire head, and find that you and I can kind of land on taking, synergizing the suggestions from chat into our grand plan, and then maybe play around a little bit. I think I can probably whip up a sort of a 3D rendering of a dragon head, and then we can kind of play around with it, with the jaw movable and stuff in a 3D space, and then we can maybe even bring that next time we are on ThursdAGE, and then say, okay, here we go, and really play with scale and all that.
That would be pretty cool. If there are people who are artistically inclined out there and want to throw us like a sketch or something, that would be cool.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of lay it out a bit, and then we'll enlist our artist friends, because I think it's got there's so much stuff, like it's such a big thing to consider and contend with, that we might want to sort of say, play around with scale, and then talk about, like, here's what goes on in the nostrils, or like here's what goes on in the leg, the whatever. But I think that this will I definitely have I get transcripts from all the shows for sure. But chat, thank you so much for all of your great ideas, and we are all simpatico, and I'm looking forward to it, Duke, for us to kind of dig into it. Now
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we're going to be developing other moments on this program where we'll talk about what's going on in the tank. We'll talk about what's, we've got tons of stuff going on in the grad, got lots of plans for events and all kinds of good stuff. And so stay tuned for that as the show continues to kind of evolve and change. And
Indeed.
And then we'll come back next week with the rough sketch of the noggin, and then maybe enlist some artist friends to sort of help us out once we can kind of describe to them what the scale is, and we'll just kind of wrap our head around it. But I do want to remind you that you want to hang out. You want to come hang out in the grad, the Green Ronin Atomic Assembly Discord. And
yes,
do you have the link?
I do have the link. Let me post the link.
It's closed it. Thank you, Rand. I'd love for you to be a part of this. Absolutely. That'd be super, super fun.
Definitely. That would be great.
So join up. There's a little vetting if you're not already in there. But it's an easy process. We just want to remain relatively bot free. And you're going to want to get in there, by the way, because great things are coming. All
Oh,
kinds of
yes.
stuff. Yeah, we're
Oh,
talking
yes. Things are
workshops.
changing.
Things are changing. We will be preserving the very best, all the elements that people love and need and expect, but we'll be amplifying it with some extra good stuff. Not the least of which
Yeah.
will be like developer chats, and it's gonna be a real thing. It's gonna be a real deal. And
It's gonna
then,
be fun.
yeah, it'll be
Definitely.
super super fun. And then what else do I got here? Oh, you know what I want to talk about? Um, you also want to join the Atomic Think Tank.
Yes,
And
please.
yeah, it's lots of good stuff going on there. You just want to go to atomicthinktank.com if you're not already in there. We've got special spaces to have discussions about all the games powered by the Adventure Game Engine, including, there's also Mutants and Masterminds. And we'll be adding new elements to the tank as well that will complement what's going on in the Discord. And so jump in there. Lots of cool stuff already. We've got the homebrew section is Chef's Kiss. It's fantastic. It's also a great place to connect with developers if you're looking for a question. I'm there all the time. The last couple days been a little spotty for me, but I generally am there all the time and look forward to seeing you there. And so if you get in there and you've got a question, we've got a section for that. And pretty soon we're going to be doing things like adding our friendly local game store and folks, and they'll have their section in there where they can kind of talk about events that are happening, and it can get real regional, and of course a lot of fun. And let's look at, we are almost out of June.
It's out of June already. Jeez.
We
We
have
are
got
going from Pride Month to Wrath Month, I
it's Wrath
think.
Month. Yeah, Wrath Month is next, and boy, we got it. But I do want to say, did you like that, Brandon? He's sort of that kind of mid-century modern retro future kind of vibe, which I really love. So it's kind of my aesthetic. But as
Uh,
far as what's going on in the tank this evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, it's only 1 hour away. We're doing Get Tanked with Troy. Basically, what we do is we all get together, and I just get hammered. And you get to listen to me talk until I can't, and then I slur my words and I pass out. No, I'm kidding. That's not at all what it is.
oh.
It's an opportunity for folks to come in and just ask questions. Maybe I owe you something. Maybe you have asked me for a thing and I have plumb forgotten it, or I've been dragging my feet on it, or you've got an idea, or you've got an event, or you've got a new live stream, or you want to talk about a collaboration, or you just want to hang out and talk with a bunch of folks who are very nice, super fun, interesting. We really, the conversations have run the gamut. It's gone from, you name it, we've talked about it. But that's in the tank. Basically, we do a Zoom meeting. So you get to see my lovely face, unless I decide that I need to get up and walk around, then I jump on my phone. But it's just a great opportunity for us to connect, and really interesting ideas come out of that. And we have a bit of a round robin discussion where folks, they come with a thought or a need, and generally what I try to do is deliver whatever it is that you're looking for. If it's, I know one time we went through all of the Mutants and Masterminds art and pulled art that we thought was really great. It could be part of merch. Another time had a series of kind of quick meetings, and then where folks kind of talked about the creative thing that they were working on, and other members of the community were able to connect and say, I want to be a part of that, or I want to help, or I want to. So it's just a great sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, idea melting pot. But yeah, come
Yes.
in and,
Yeah. It's a cauldron of great ideas.
it really is. It's an acid lake of fantastic ideas.
I'm not sure. It's eating away the fat and just leaves the diamonds.
That's
So it's
right.
great.
That's right. That's right. And but it is fun. So do that. AtomicThinkTank.com. You'll see the event. It'll pop up and say, "Hey, you want to come to Get Tanked
Exactly.
with Troy?" And and it's a Zoom meeting, but you don't have to have your camera on. I turn mine on and I turn mine off. Like, it just depends on what's going on. And I think, is that it?
Oh, Nate asks if we could do some office hours in the grad at some point.
We do plan to do that. Yeah, that's
Yes,
on me.
that
Yeah,
is that's
yeah.
in the future.
It is in the future. We'll do also. Yeah, I think that many people do like the format of Discord a little better than the Zoom call, but we'll have a little something for everybody. But Office Hours will
Yeah.
most certainly happen in the grad, and won't just be me. So it'll be.
Oh yeah, we had like we had like a little tanked after hours thing on the grad already with people who were on tanked before, so it's not just everybody popping in. But if you're interested, shoot me a PM or do the mod mail on the grad, and we can get you into that as well.
Fantastic. I do want to mention this now. The beauty of this community is that everybody's doing something, because it's the nature of what we do. If you got an idea or you want to run a one shot, one of the things that I'm committed to, we need more age related one shots happening out there in the world. And so I'm going to do some official ones working with our developers to run some one shots like on a weekend or, once a quarter or something like that. So there's some of that going on. And well, I mean, I think folks remember, if you've been kind of keeping up on the news, we've got Cast Party, which is going to be running 3 different age-related podcasts, sort of actual play. But it doesn't even have to be a live stream. Like let's make that clear. You don't have to. Not every single actual play or one shot has to be streamed. But one of the other things that we talked about is, we're also broadcasting to Moonbeam. Moonbeam is a community of streamers. The platform itself was built with the needs of TTRPG folks in mind. Great moderation tools, all kinds of good stuff. We've got a little community there. But the idea is that we are going to be developing and working with people to create programs. They can be a one-off or it can be a regular thing. But what we'll do, we're going to be rebroadcasting. Our streamers out there in the world have done some fantastic actual plays. We're going to be restreaming, and think of it like the Green Ronin channel, the community channel, where if there is, maybe you want to do a talk show, maybe you want to talk about cosplay and create a costume, maybe you want to, whatever the case may be. But the thing that's cool about that's cool in itself. That's super fun. But there is a revenue share component. You're not going to get rich. No one will. But there's an exchange of gems, or no, it's moonstones, I believe, that and I'm able to, on the back end, create a little cut of that. And rather than sort of think about all the weird fractions and all that stuff, any revenue that we bring in from Moonbeam will go directly to the people who are doing stuff on Moonbeam. So it'll be moderators, content creators, anybody who's got a program, that kind of thing. And so now it's in beta right now. So that whole system will need some time to kind of bake. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. And I think and I really am looking forward to what people kind of come up with. Just full disclosure, it is my goal to do some kind of variety program where it's like, I don't know, Game Changer meets high school talent show meets something. I don't know. I'll get back to you on that, but that's going to happen at some point. But
that's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. Hey, Duke, thank you for hanging out. Thanks for being a part of this sort of, thing.
Thanks for having me. Oh, hit the like button and subscribe and all that stuff.
Listen to you. If you're on YouTube, my friend. You're a pro. Absolutely do that. Yeah, thank you, Duke. Looking forward to our future collaboration here in ThursdAGE, and we'll of course have developers. All that other good stuff will come. But in the interim, we're going to do some fun stuff ourselves. And chat, as always, thank you so much. If you're watching on demand, make sure you're watching. If you're over on the YouTube, check out the chat. There's great stuff going on here. Some not so great stuff going on, but it's always interesting, if also not weird. But with that, I say thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. We'll be back here on Monday for Mutants and Masterminds Monday. And then, of course, ThursdAGE on the following Thursday. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.